We, this people, on a small and lonely planet, traveling through casual space, past aloof stars, across the way of indifferent suns, to a destination where all signs tell us it is possible and imperative that we discover a brave and startling truth. And when we come to it, to the day of peacemaking, when we release our fingers from fists of hostility and allow the pure air to cool our palms, when we come to it, when the curtain falls on the minstrel's show of hate, and faces sooted with scorn are scrubbed clean, when battlefields and coliseum no longer rake our unique and particular sons and daughters up with the bruised and bloody grass, to lie in identical plots in foreign lands. When the rapacious storming of the churches, the screaming racket in the temples have ceased, when the pennants are waving gaily, when the banners of the world tremble stoutly in the good, clean breeze. When we come to it, when we let rifles fall from our shoulders, and children dress their dolls in flags of truce, when landmines of death have been removed and the aged may walk into evenings of peace, when the religious ritual is not perfumed by the incense of burning flesh, and childhood dreams are not kicked awake by nightmares of abuse. When we come to it, then we will confess that not the pyramids with their stones set in mysterious perfection, not the Garden of Babylon hanging as eternal beauty in our collective memory, not the Grand Canyon kindled into delicious color by western sunsets, nor the Danube flowing its blue soul into Europe, not the sacred peak of Mount Fuji stretching to the rising sun, neither Father Amazon nor Mother Mississippi, who, without favor, nurture all creatures in the depths and on the shores. These are not the only wonders of the world. When we come to it, we, this people, on this minuscule and kithless globe, who reach daily for the bomb, the blade, the dagger, yet who petition in the dark for tokens of peace, we, this people, on this mote of matter in whose mouths abide cankerous words which challenge our existence, yet out of those same mouths come songs of such exquisite sweetness that the heart falters in its labor and the body is quieted into awe. We, this people, on this small and drifting planet, whose hands can strike with such abandon that in a twinkling life is sapped from the living, yet those same hands can touch with such healing, irresistible tenderness that the haughty neck is happy to bow and the proud back is glad to bend. Out of such chaos, of such contradiction, we learn that we are neither devils nor divines. When we come to it, we, this people, on this wayward, floating body created on this earth, of this earth, have the power to fashion for this earth a climate where every man and every woman can live freely without sanctimonious piety and without crippling fear. When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible. We are the miraculous, the true wonder of this world. That is when, and only when, we come to it. A Brave and Startling Truth by Maya Angelou. What more is there to say? Growing up, Maya Angelou was the greatest living poet, and as such, a great inspiration for me. Starting this channel, I honestly never expected to write any poetry to share. Frankly, I was pretty well convinced that we lived in a world where poetry was either slam poetry or it really wasn't acknowledged at all. I've written hundreds of poems in my lifetime, most of which were deleted or destroyed just moments after I finished them. For me, poetry has just been a way for me to sort through things. Every time I read something that this brilliant woman wrote, I always felt like she had things to sort through too. So I don't know, I just liked her. But with this poem in particular, I felt like she was just trying to steer us, humankind, back on track. Sadly, were she alive today, she would know that we have steered ourselves more directly toward the abyss. Maya Angelou once wrote, "History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again." I've always felt that we would be better off if we just erased specific events out of the history books altogether. I know that sounds messed up, but there are so many things that people hold on to that really, honestly, yeah, we'd like to learn from those mistakes, but are we really ever going to introduce slavery again? I just don't think so. But this feeling stems from a sad belief that people are unable to face the past with courage. Every day, we see members of race and gender movements using history to further their victimhood instead of confronting it head on and refusing to let it define them. Maya Angelou said, "A wise woman wishes to be no one's enemy. A wise woman refuses to be anyone's victim." I'd like to think when she said women, she really meant everyone, but I'm not going to put words in her mouth. Still, the message is clear and equally unheeded. Today, women in the feminist movement couldn't care less if they turn every single living man into a mortal enemy. Instead of advocating for women, they constantly advocate against men. And instead of standing up and refusing to be victims, they use their victimhood as a tool to advance their agenda. When I got into all of this a year ago, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what feminism was, and any preconceived notions that I might have had were positive ones, because I was raised by a single mother. I was brought up to respect women. I was raised to believe that women can do anything men can do. And my mother, who is easily my favorite person on the planet, taught me these things through her own example. She taught me how to throw a football. She taught me how to tune up a truck. She was a crew chief in the Air Force before going on to be a letter carrier in the U.S. Postal Service. She lugged around as much mail as any man and delivered her route as fast, if not faster, than anyone else. So I figured that feminism would pretty much be a bunch of strong, independent women like my own mother. I figured I would end up being an ally to them. Instead, through hours of research and far too many interactions with today's feminists online, they made me into a lifelong enemy. The sadness of the women's movement is that they don't allow the necessity of love. See, I don't personally trust any revolution where love is not allowed. Again, Maya Angelou. I don't believe she was talking about romantic love, which is clearly antithetical to most feminist beliefs, but the general love of humanity. I had an interaction with a guy this week, a pretty negative one, and one of my arguments to him was that I do this because I love people. Sounding too much like religious rhetoric, he quickly quoted some Nietzsche bullshit and tried to tell me I didn't actually love anyone. Someday, the time will come where I may have to monetize these videos so I can afford to continue this journey. But making money and personal fame, or even personal satisfaction, have never been my motives with this channel. I genuinely hate the feelings I get when I watch people pit one type of human being against another. I hate watching politicians lie to us. I hate watching the media skew the narrative for one side and against the other. In a lot of ways, I was much happier a year ago when my head was stuck firmly in the sand. But I'm here, and I'm sharing my thoughts, and I'm sharing this search for wisdom with all of you because I love you. Not as individuals, but as my human brothers and sisters. When I see your comments and words of encouragement, I do feel good. I feel fortunate that there are people who agree with me. I feel grateful to be able to have an audience for my words. But I'm not doing this for me. And I'm not just doing it for you. I'm doing it because I feel lucky to have been born a human being and not a mosquito. And I feel as though I owe it to myself, to you, and to everyone else to speak up about the things that hurt us. Because who knows? Maybe someday, something I say will make a difference. Or maybe not. I mean, that's the risk you take, right? It's a gamble. In parting, Maya Angelou said it best in her poem. When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible. We are the miraculous, the true wonder of this world. That is when, and only when, we come to it.